I know that there is something to mindset. I know there is something to universal laws and manifesting and all of that. I know there is, and there is just something that I'm not picking up right. And I keep getting in my way. So I'm just going to stop trying to be successful at this. And let's just start trying to be happy at life. And just for funsies, and honestly, just to be distracted, let's pick something that is completely impossible for me to manifest, and let's see how close I can get to it by the end of the year. Hello, prosperity seeker. Welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach. This is Allyson Chavez. I'm so excited to spend the next little while with you and share with you some of the experiences that I have had with manifesting and with all of the different components that go into really creating the life you desire and designing a reality that you don't want to escape from. And today I wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit more than what I normally do on the great thought experiment that my family and I ran that really changed the whole trajectory of our life, of my beliefs in myself, my business, absolutely everything. And I know I've shared this before, but there are some details that I've left out deliberately just because we didn't really have time to go into them. But I thought it would be fun to show you what I did and the place that I was at and where I came from and where it led me to in a very short period of time, because I know that based on where I was, you can transform and you can transform your life very quickly, regardless of where you are right now. And you can do it with ease, with joy. You can set down that struggle. The great thought experiment of 2018 was really what changed everything. It's what helped me to understand how manifesting worked and what my part was in the whole manifesting process. There were some things that it didn't teach me, and I'll go into that as well a little bit today. But I want to just lay down some tracks for you about where I was and what I did, and hopefully you'll be able to pick those up really easily and start to use my example to help change your life as well. So in August of 2018, we were in our financial rock bottom. More importantly, though, not only were we broke, but I felt broken. I felt like the world's biggest loser. I felt like a grand failure. I had led my family into financial ruin. I felt like everything I touched turned to ash, that I would never be successful. And I was in full on judgment, self-recrimination, self-loathing, you name it. I was thinking it. Now, I am not by nature a suicidal person, but because of the thoughts that I was battling with on a daily basis, it became, my goodness, look at what you've done. Look at how you've hurt the people you love the most. You have a nice life insurance policy, and you're worth more dead than alive. The other thoughts that I was battling was, you believe in a life after death. This is a really scary place. Why don't you just end it now? And then you can just help on the other side of the veil. People are going to pretty much be better off without you anyway. And then it won't be quite so scary because you know God's there and Jesus is there and your mom's there and your family's there and they'll take care of you and you can just do the work on the other side. So like this became almost a daily battle with my thoughts. And I got to a point where I was just really tired of beating myself up all the time. Like there was nothing that I could do at that point to stop all of the momentum that I had built around like the failure. Like nothing I did worked and I was frustrated all the time. And I was just tired of that experience. And so I was very, very clear that I had gotten in my own way. I was 100% clear on that. The thing that was frustrating to me was I didn't know how to get out of my own way. And I was so desperate to do that and so frustrated because I knew, but I still didn't know how. And I knew it, but I didn't have it. I was teaching mindset. I've been teaching universal law. I knew the linchpin was me. And I didn't know how to make myself a successful linchpin, so to speak. And so I actually just had to leave that alone. I had to set that down and just let it be what it was going to be. Instead of me being successful and instead of me making a difference and instead of me having impact in the world, I had one item on my agenda, and that agenda was to feel good. Because I had been in so much anxiety for so many years and so much terror for so long that I was so tired. I was exhausted of it all. And so I thought, you know what? I know that there is something to mindset. I know there is something to universal laws and manifesting and all of that. I know there is, and there is just something that I'm not picking up right. And I keep getting in my way. So I'm just going to stop trying to be successful at this, and let's just start trying to be happy at life. And just for funsies, and honestly, just to be distracted, let's pick something that is completely out of bounds, impossible for me to manifest, and let's see how close I can get to it by the end of the year. Because we can't pay our bills, we're about ready to file bankruptcy, we have to go to the food pantry for food, here's what it is, right? Let's do something to just end the agony and do something that's actually healthy and proactive. And so I decided to onboard my family on this just because they had been through the ringer with me as well. And so I wanted to bring them something that was just a little bit of a distraction for them too, and something that we could focus on that wasn't, no, we don't have money for that. Oh, we can't pay our bills, but we're really grateful for that. Not that gratitude isn't a powerful tool, because it is an enormously powerful tool to redesign your reality, but we just needed something that was lighthearted and where if we didn't get it, it didn't mean that we couldn't eat, because that's how I had built my business. And that was too much pressure and too much of a pressure cooker for me to be in anymore. So one day after dinner, I gathered my family around me, Jeremy, of course, my husband, and our two youngest children who were 12 and 15 at the time. The two older were already in college and they weren't part of this experiment. And I said, let's just have some fun. It's the end of August. Let's all pick something that feels impossible for us to manifest, and let's see how close we can get to it by the end of the year. Just for fun, just for something to do. Let's see how powerful our thoughts really are, if they're powerful at all. So each of us picked something. Now, if you followed me for any length of time, you know what I picked, and I picked Hawaii, because Hawaii was like Mecca for me. It was like celestial kingdom on earth. It was heaven on earth. It was the closest we were ever going to get as a family in this earth experience to me. It was paradise. And so that was important to me. What was important to Jeremy was us being able to pay all of our bills every month. And we were $1,500 behind in our bills every month. So he wanted to be able to break even. Peyton wanted a dog, and Trevin wanted a group of friends. Now, Peyton's our youngest. She's 12. She's our only girl. And then Trevin was 15 at the time, and Peyton was 12 at the time. This is what we picked. Now, all of these were impossible to us. At that time, Trevin didn't really know how to make friends. He was awkward socially. He was uncomfortable socially. He was a 15-year-old boy, right? He didn't know how to do anything really except be angry. And so it was very hard for him to just like walk up to people and say, hey, do you want to be friends? What he wanted to do was build a Dungeons and Dragons group where they could come to our house and they could play every Saturday and just create some friendships that way, which felt completely out of bounds for him. And Peyton wanted a dog, but she had to get through me, and I did not want a dog. And if we were going to get a dog, it had to be a purebred Yorkshire Terrier toy. Small dog, not let's go down to the Humane Society and pay $40 and be like, look, we manifested a dog. Like, nope, she had to go through me. And I would only agree to a purebred Yorkshire Terrier. So it was all impossible for all of us. But here was the important piece. I didn't care. I didn't care that it was impossible, because the one item on my agenda was to feel good. Let's see how long I can stay out of judging myself. Let's see, can I do this for 3 minutes? Can I do this for 6 minutes where I feel good instead of feel miserable because of my thoughts and where they're taking me and all of the anxiety that I've been in? Like, that was the whole agenda, was let's feel good. This is what I did. I started thinking about Hawaii all the time. Anything that I could do that would connect me to Hawaii and project me there, I did. So there is a song that's played on the ukulele, Over the Rainbow. And Israel, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's a Hawaiian, made it very, very famous back in the 90s. And I would listen to that song over and over and over again because it transported me to Hawaii. I would look at pictures of the ocean. I would picture us being out on the beach at sunset, just watching the sun go down. And my oldest son, who's 6 feet tall, he would come up behind me and he's wrap his arms around me and he'd kiss me on the cheek like he does. And I could hear him say, "Thanks, Mom. Thanks for doing this for us, Mom." And he likes to rock me. And so I just picture rocking with him, looking out at this sunset. And I would talk to Jeremy when we would have pillow talk at on our bed. And I would just tell him, "Gosh, I'm so excited to go to Hawaii. And this is why I want to go. And this is what this is what I want to do." And I can just see us just laughing around the table and just having munchies and driving and hiking Diamond Head and just getting our toes in the sand and just creating all of these memories together. And when I would talk to Jeremy about it, I would just cry. And I didn't cry because I was in longing or yearning or victimhood, like, why won't it ever come? Why can't I have what I want? Is that I was so in that moment that I was just in such gratitude, and it was so sweet that all I could do was cry because I was so happy at the thought of it. I would look at pictures. I would do all of those things. And then when the thoughts came that were really, really cruel, and the thoughts were, well, not only is this impossible, but this is reckless. And this is actually pretty stupid. And this is very irresponsible. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I don't care. We're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to go over Jeremy's birthday in December. So that's what we're doing. And then it would ratchet up a notch and say, how dare you? You don't deserve to go to Hawaii. Look what you've done to your family. You've run your business into the ground and you've hurt them. If it was just you, then okay, no big deal. But you've hurt other people, innocent people that you love. How could you dare think that you could take them to Hawaii? You can't even put food on the table. Like, it got mean. And then it was, what are the neighbors going to think? Now, this was a very valid argument because we had Peyton in dance and in piano at the time. And her dance teacher was our neighbor. And I had to tell them both, like, I think we have to pull her out. We're in a financial situation and we're not able to do extras right now. And they were both so gracious and so loving. And they said, nope, keep her in. Her piano teacher said, you know what? I'm not going to charge you for the next 3 months. You just keep her coming and get your feet underneath you and then pay me when you can. And her dance teacher was the same. She scholarshiped her, actually. It was just amazing. All of these angels that showed up to support us. And then I was going to act like some rich lady and take my family to Hawaii? Who did I think I was? And what would they think about that? I come to them with this boo-hoo story that I can't afford to pay for their lessons, but I can afford to take my family of 6 to Hawaii. Like, it was that. And I just kept saying, I know, and I don't care. I know, and I don't care. Maybe grandma will pay for it. Maybe we'll just tell them, hey, our grandma's taking care of all of it. And so we're not paying for this, but this is where we're going. Like, to try to justify it to them as if their opinion mattered. But it mattered to me at the time. Like, how would it come across? And I just, when those feelings and those thoughts came, like, boom, no, don't care. I know, all I know is we're going. So if we're going to go, how are we going to get there? Well, we got to fly, of course. So I start looking at airfare, and airfare is $500, $600, $700. And for a family of 6, ain't no way that's going to happen. Not with our credit the way it was, not with all of that. And so I started looking at other ways that we could get there. And there was cheap flights flying right out of Long Beach, California. No, it was San Diego, right out of San Diego. And I was like, we can take a road trip. It's 12 hours to San Diego, 10 hours San Diego, whatever it was. We'll drive all night. And we've got lots of drivers, and we'll just make an adventure out of it. And that will get us to Hawaii. So that was the plan. And then we got cheap airfare. So that was taken care of. And I was like, well, we're just going to Hawaii. At the time, we had a DVC membership, which is a timeshare with Disney, and our home base was Alani. And so we were able to reserve that week and just pay Hawaii taxes for it. So that was a huge blessing. So I was like, oh gosh, we're staying at pretty much a 5-star hotel. This is wonderful. Holy cow. Look at all these blessings. This is fantastic. And I just kept following the nudge and following the nudge and following the nudge. We still didn't know how we were going to eat or really pay for the airfare or any of that. But I didn't care. I had found the way there and I was following that. Now, Peyton was going after the dog. Now, Peyton's 12 at the time. She can't just go get a job, especially purebred Yorkies are at least $1,200. So she wasn't going to be tossing newspapers anywhere for any length of time to be able to earn enough money in order to get a dog. And she didn't care. She was preparing for her puppy. And she named her puppy and she talked about how much she loved her puppy. She named her Xandra. And it's spelled with an X, just so you know. And how much she loves her and she cuddles her. And from our previous dogs, she took the leash and the collar and she put it on her dresser so she saw it all the time. And she had the dog brush there. And we had a little blanket that we had for the dogs. And so that was there. And it's by her bed. And this is where Xandra sleeps. And she's such a snuggle bug. And I just love her so much. And she said, Mom, let's go to the library and I'm going to check out some books on how to take care of Yorkshire puppies and what it requires. And I'm like, sweet, let's do that. And you can do some research. Still was not sold on having a dog. And then I had this idea. Why don't you post on Facebook that you're in the research stages of owning a Yorkshire puppy and what's people's experience with it? And I was very clear. We are in research stage only. Well, I had a friend that I had not talked to in years. And she said, I saw your post. My best friend is a breeder of Yorkshire puppies. You want me to connect you? And I was like, yeah, because I would love to know their temperament. I'd love to know how easy they are to housebreak, all of those things. So I connect with the breeder and she said, our dog just had a litter of puppies. Do you want to come see them? And I said, sure, I'm happy to come see them. But I just want you to know we're in no position to be able to pay for any dogs right now. It's not in the cards right now. So just so you know. And she was like, yeah, just come anyway. Cause it's get you in the car and then you're going to figure out how to get that car home with you. So it was that kind of a mentality because that's how we are. And I was very, very clear that we weren't in a position to get any dogs right now, but we'd love to come see the puppies. She talked to me a few days later and she's like, there's somebody here that's really interested. Our schedules weren't matching up for us to be able to get there any sooner. And I said, no, go ahead and sell those puppies. That's totally fine. We can't get there in time, but can we come see you anyway? Take a look at your dogs and just get to know the breed. And she said, sure, let's do that. So a week or so later, we meet up with them. We go to their house and the dogs are running around and they're just cute little dogs. And one of them jumps onto the couch and their kids were like, whoa, I can't believe she made that jump. And I was like, why? And the mom said, oh, because she's pregnant and she's going to have puppies in the next 3 weeks. And I knew right there, those puppies were ours. I knew it. They were $1,200 a pop. And I knew that those puppies were ours. And I had no idea how we were going to pay for them. And I didn't care. I didn't care. I just knew they were ours. So Jeremy and I were talking amongst ourselves. And I was like, you're working all the time. I'm working all the time. It's not fair to buy a dog and then put him in a kennel all day long. He's like, I know what we'll do. We'll get 2. So he starts selling me on 2 puppies. And we're keeping this a secret from the kids. In the meantime, I don't know how we're going to have now $2,500 to pay for these dogs, but I didn't care. I was just going to follow the nudge and just see how close we could get. Now, Trevin, in the meantime, he stumbled onto a conversation in class with 2 of his classmates who were talking about wanting to put a Dungeons and Dragons group together. And he mentioned that at dinner one night. And I was like, Trevin, did you talk to them about it? And he looked at me like I was, about as smart as a bag of rocks. And he said, no, I don't hardly even know them. I'm not just going to put myself in the conversation and see if they want to build a campaign together. And I was like, but the universe put it right in front of you. But then I was like, nah, this is his experience, not mine. So he's going to create the way he's going to create. And Trevin was pretty silent about his part in all of it. He did share a couple of things with me, but for the most part, I don't really know exactly what he did. Now, Jeremy was fascinating because Jeremy wanted $1,500 a month and he was tapped. He was doing everything he could. He was working full time He was working overtime. He was working part-time at another job, and he was overcoming a back injury. So it wasn't like he could go pick up yet another shift anywhere. First of all, there really wasn't time in the day, and he did not have the physical health in order to do it. And so we had read a book together called The Science of Getting Rich so that we could start like getting money issues out of the way. And in it, he read something that just struck him about why it's okay to ask for money, that God wants us to be wealthy. It leads to fuller expression. It leads to joy. The best service we can give mankind is by making the most of ourselves and then modeling that for others. And suddenly, like all of these money blocks that he had, his whole life just melted away, and he gave himself permission to actually want money. And so he had a really powerful prayer. And he doesn't tell me about his prayers much, but he did tell me about this one. And he said he knelt down and he said to God very clearly, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. I can't do anything else. You must provide. You must provide. And it was not a tantrum, and it was not a do this right now. It was nothing of that. It was actually a very reverent command of the universe and God's promise to deliver his children. And his promise that is all through scripture that he provides for his children. And he provides in abundance. So he prayed that prayer on a Wednesday. So I'm doing all of these things, and he's like just prayed and then just went to work, right? He just kind of let go of it. And in the meantime, I am working on certainty. And I've got this mantra: I live in certainty regardless of thoughts, moods, feelings, and emotions. And I'm repeating it all the time. And I'm looking myself in the mirror, and I'm like got it posted everywhere, and I'm practicing that. And I go to breakfast with one of my girlfriends I hadn't seen in a very long time. And by breakfast, I mean, we met at Starbucks, and I brought my bottle of water and I visited with her. I didn't have any money to order breakfast, and I'm not a coffee drinker, so I wouldn't order any coffee anyway. But I wanted to see her, but I didn't have any money to get a drink or a muffin or anything. But that was okay. And we visited for a long time, and Jeremy kept texting me, and he's like, "Where are you?" And I ended up coming to work on a Saturday, and I was super proud of myself. And I said, "I've been practicing certainty," when I saw him at work. And then I saw his face, and I said, "But you have it. What happened?" Something changed. And he said, "The owner of the company, who's his mom, or was at the time, it was a family-owned business at the time, she wants to retire next year, and she wants me to run the business. And they just offered me a substantial raise, effective immediately. And after taxes and tithing, it was $1,500 a month." Now, he was the fastest. His took 3 days. So now, we broke even, right? My mistake in that was not to ask for $2,000 a month, because we only broke even and we still had interest that we had to pay every month on like 9 credit cards that we had out. And so that was my bad, but I didn't know what I didn't know, which is one of the reasons why we ended up filing bankruptcy early of 2019, which ended up being a glorious blessing for us. But his was the fastest. Now, in the meantime, I'm doing all that I can do as well. So I'm not just sitting in my rocking chair talking to Jeremy and, sobbing tears of gratitude of Hawaii. I'm like, we need cash monies in order to go to Hawaii. So what else can I do? And I was giving an opportunity to speak in North Carolina. Long story short, it ends up being like a $10,000 buy-in in order to have a 60-minute spot on the stage. 500 entrepreneurs, every single one of them needs my message. Sell a high-ticket program. And I was like, if I can convert 50, that's only 10%. I do that all the time. That will take care of our $150,000 of debt. Boom, problem solved. We take a week off of work, invest all this money we don't have, max out our last credit card. And of the 500 people we were guaranteed there were 19 there on day 1 of a 3-day conference. On day 2, we had 12, and they canceled day 3. Guess how many programs I sold? 0. I was devastated. We flew home. I'm crying in my bed, rocking in the fetal position. I had done this many times over the years, so I knew what to do. And then a part of Waddle's book came through my mind. And it said, if you have done your part and the situation falls apart in a perfectly unexplained manner, Don't be disappointed. This is God overruling your desire, and He has something better in mind for you. Keep going in that certainty that it's all going to work out. So I thought, did I do my part? Yeah, I totally did my part. Did this fall apart in an unexplained way? Yeah, it did. Awesome. Then God's about to show out in your life in powerful ways. So I dried my tears, and 12 hours later, we got a text from my aunt who said, "We're selling your grandmother's vacation home, and you get part of the inheritance. Where do we send the check to?" Now, Grandma passed away 10 years previous to that. They were never going to sell the family vacation home, ever. I had no idea there was an inheritance coming. And then I'm thinking about like that whole justifying, oh, my grandma's going to take us. My grandma's paying for us to go to Hawaii. Holy cow! Grandma paid for us to go to Hawaii. Now, in Grandma's will, it stipulates that if any of her children precede her in death, then their portion of the inheritance goes to their children. And my mom died when I was 11. And so I got a fifth portion of what my mom's inheritance would be. What a blessing, because it was enough to buy both dogs, to get us to Hawaii. We had some van repairs that needed to be done. We could get a house full of groceries. We were saved. It was glorious. That's manifesting. That's the piece by piece you are part of manifesting. Now, here's what manifesting doesn't cover. Manifesting doesn't cover that consistent redesign of your reality. That takes a next level of mastery. That is creation to me. That's co-creating. That's the redesign. Manifesting is like a one boom and it's done. But if you want that consistency, it takes a higher level of mastery than just manifesting provides. So what you need for that are two things. What was missing for me was, first, I did not know how to change my subconscious beliefs. That's critical. And two, I didn't know how money worked on a spiritual and vibrational level. Those other pieces clicked into place about 3 months later. And because of what I learned with manifesting, and I learned how to rinse and repeat because I documented what I did after we got back from Hawaii, because I had a nudge to do that. I'm like, holy cow, this is simple. This is easy. This was delightful. This was so much fun. I felt good. That was the whole point of it all. And look what we changed. We changed the whole trajectory. Now let's do next level. And now let's get consistent with money coming in consistently and you hitting your goals consistently. Success without struggle. And that's what I teach now. So what I teach in my Rise Up 6-month group mentoring program, I teach the beginnings of that in my free online challenge called the Prosperity Experience. So what I would invite you to do is get into that Facebook group. It's the Prosperity Experience. There's a link in the show notes. Make sure you click on that. Come join us. I'm in there all the time. I want to take prosperity out of theory and make it practical, because there are practical, simple steps that you do in the right order. You take the right approach and you will be dazzled and delighted with how quickly your life will change. I was broke and broken when I started this. It does not matter to me where you are in your circumstances. You are powerful enough to change your life, to transform any area of life that's important to you, and to do it quickly. And you're not meant to do it alone. Let's do it together. Hop on over to the Facebook group, The Prosperity Experience. Let us welcome you in there, teach you how to do it, and let's have you be my next success story. Until then, remember, prosperity becomes you.